And if that emptiness that appears after 50 isn't a sign that you've lost your value, but rather an invitation to something even greater, and if that feeling of what now that comes when the children grow up, work slows down, the mirror changes, not the end of a story, but the beginning of a new chapter, it's funny how no one prepares us for this. They teach us to run, to conquer, to take care of everyone, to be useful all the time. But they don't teach you what to do when all these functions change, when the world suddenly becomes quieter, and we ask ourselves, and now who am I? Some women call this a crisis, others from menopause, others just from that strange phase where it seems like no one needs me anymore. But what if this was all just a space, a gap between a life lived for others and a life finally lived for you? Subscribe to the channel and discover with ease that this void may just be the perfect space for you to blossom again. You know, feeling useless after 50 is more common than it seems. But here's a secret. This doesn't mean you're useless. It means that the roles you have been playing until now are changing, and that a new script is waiting for you to take on the lead role. For decades, you were the one who cared of the children, of the house, of work, of the parents, of the partner, of the bills. You were CEO of your own family without salary, without vacation, without recognition, and yet you did it all with love. But now, the phone rings less. Tasks decrease. You look in the mirror and ask yourself, do I still have a role in this world? And I tell you, not only does it have, but it has the most important one of all, because for the first time in a long time, you have a chance to take care of yourself. Yes, take care of you, of your forgotten dreams, of hobbies that were put off, of the desire to simply do nothing and allow yourself to do so. But before that comes the discomfort, that feeling of I'm lost. And it's okay to feel that way. Think of a butterfly. Before flying around colorfully, it turns into a cocoon. And in the cocoon, she sheds everything she was before. She literally melts inside. Does it seem confusing? Chaotic? Useless? Because that's exactly where she's transforming. The cocoon phase is silent. It's dark, and no one on the outside sees the magic happening. It can be the same with you. You're not finishing. You are remaking yourself. But since we live in a society that only values the useful, the productive, the young, it's easy to believe that after 50, the best is over. Now it's just a matter of maintaining, surviving, waiting. But what if that was a lie? What if this is precisely the best phase to discover new roles, new versions of yourself? No longer the one who takes care of everyone, but the one who finally takes care of herself. No longer the one who needs to prove her worth, but the one who knows exactly who she is, even if she is rediscovering that now. Look, there are people who will only start painting at 52. There are people who decide to live in another city at 60. There are people who discover they love writing at 58. And there are people who find the love of their life at 70. There is no wrong time to start over. There is only one clock that never stops, the clock of the heart. You know what's funny? Women over 50 have something that younger women don't. History, experience, skin that felt the world, a look that has seen a lot and now wants to see it more calmly. And that's no small feat, because while many people are racing to prove something, the 50-year-old woman has already understood. That true strength lies in what she's already experienced, in the sleepless nights that became lessons, in the pain that became wisdom, in the loves that taught, and in the silences that embraced. She no longer needs to shout to be heard, nor fit in to be accepted. She carries a kind of beauty that isn't immediately visible, but rather felt, admired, and respected. A beauty that comes from within, from someone who has lived enough to know what truly matters. While many people run to look young, perhaps the real luxury is not having to run anymore. You can slow down. You can choose who to spend your energy on. You can say no without guilt. You can start something just because you feel like it, not because you need to prove yourself. And that, my friend, is freedom. But to get there, you need to go through this discomfort. This place where the silence seems to scream that you are no longer of any use. that the world no longer needs you. But that's not true. The world needs you, but maybe in a different way now. Maybe as inspiration, maybe as a mentor, maybe like the one who tells stories that help other women find themselves, or perhaps as someone who, for the first time, is going to live alone. Have you heard of blue zones? These are regions of the world where people live longer. Do you know what they have in common? Older people remain active, but not just physically, active emotionally, socially, spiritually. They participate in the community. They are heard. They have purpose. Purpose. That's the magic word. It's not about being busy. It's about feeling like you still matter. And guess what? You matter, even when you're not doing anything. Even when you're just there, existing, drinking your coffee, and looking at the sky. You don't need to be producing for real. You're already worth it. Simple as that. Now, if you want to do something new, rediscover a passion, learn something you've always wanted to, go ahead. But do it because you want to, and not to fill a hole that the world created there by saying that you are only useful if you're busy. Oh, and one more thing. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone, not even with someone who is 30, not even with someone who is 50 and hiking in the Himalayas, not even with someone who seems to have everything under control. Every woman has her own time. Each one has a story. Yours is yours alone, and it's still being written. Perhaps this new chapter of your life is the truest of all, because now you know what you don't want. You already know what's bad for you, and you have the chance to choose more consciously. That feeling of uselessness is just the echo of a structure that made you believe you were only valuable as long as you served others. But its existence has value, even without function, even without a busy schedule, even without applause. In fact, perhaps the greatest gift you can give yourself right now. Let's applaud each other for everything you've done and for everything you're still going to do, even if it's just living more lightly. So the next time that feeling of I'm no longer good for anything hits, take a deep breath. Remember that the cocoon also seems useless, but that's where the wings grow. And maybe, just maybe, it's your time to fly in a new way. If this video made sense to you, comment below. I'm ready for new roles. And if you have a friend who is going through this, send her this video. Because together, we remember, life after 50 isn't over. It's just beginning with much more truth. Click on the video below and discover the secret of women who are even happier and more alive after 50.